welcome to our gathering on Sunday where we explore the pathway of enlightenment together. Uh, Wearing my teacher's t-shirt today. I don't know if you could see it all. Pretty cool, huh? I'm wearing it for a special reason, and I haven't figured out what that reason is. So while I do that, let's meditate while other people are joining the room. And I think I'd like to meditate to two pieces of music here. One is called White Magic, which I think is quite beautiful. This is all by Zazen, by the way, our resident meditation band. I was resident when I'm talking about the internet. And then we'll follow that with Waves of Light. And again, for those of you that are kind of new to this, when I play music, I want the music to be inside of you. For me, it's like I go inside and there's this, it's like I've got this music going from the root of my spine all the way up into the crown. And the lower music, the lower notes, the lower beats and stuff are the lower chakras, and the higher are the higher chakras. And you just watch how this music moves through you inwardly. It's quite remarkable. This group was empowered by my teacher to create music for enlightenment. And I think they did a pretty good job. So we'll begin with White Magic, and then we'll move to the more fun one as far as movement of energy, called Waves of Light. So here we go. Take a breath. Relax. Let your thoughts stop. Good. Take another breath and be present. I think today, what seems to be coming up is something I've talked about in the past, but not recently, I don't think. Well, I don't think. Imagine that, being a teacher and you don't think. Wow, it's quite an experience, actually. But I digress. I haven't talked about the dark night of the soul recently. And I'd like to talk about that today because I believe that the world has gone through the dark night of the soul. And as the world has gone through a dark night of the soul, so have we individually. And the dark night of the soul is a necessary element of spiritual transformation. Nobody really wants it, but if you're an advanced spiritual aspirant and you've been down this road a bit, you've learned to accept the dark night of the soul as your friend. It's a horrible, wonderfully horrible experience, an amazingly beautiful, terrible experience. It's hard to describe the dark night of the soul, but I think many of you have gone through it, maybe more than once. I think most of us have. In the dark night of the soul, you're in a hell world. And hell worlds are different levels. There's different levels of hell worlds. We live in a hell world here. This is what this is. It's also a heaven world. It just depends on where your mind is and where you're at. Believe me, there are people on this earth right now, millions of them probably, who are suffering a great deal. They're experiencing huge losses. They have no hope. Their dreams have been shattered. And they have a deep feeling of depression and maybe even anger or terror. It's not a good place to be. The dark night of the soul for me takes it has the experience of being isolated from everyone and everything, even isolated from my higher self. And that last one is the worst. When you meditate and you don't feel anything, when you pray and your prayer goes right out your lips and right down to the ground, doesn't go anywhere. Nobody's listening. You're alone, utterly, utterly alone. And then the sun comes. The sun comes up. It's darkest before the dawn. In order for there to be a dawn and a new day, the darkness has to express itself and then surrender to the light. I'll repeat that. In order for the new day to come, the darkness has to complete its expression and then surrender to the light. And it must surrender to the light. It has no choice. The darkness flees the light cannot resist it, cannot fight it, understands it not, as the Bible says. So the world has been going through a dark night of the soul. We've had wars, we've had famines. We're just getting through with a plague. Terrible economic conditions for many people. It's a dark night for the world. This has happened before. It happened about 100 years ago. We just finished a horrible, horrible war. World War I was terrible. But World War I was a definite dark night of the soul. Also around that time was the plague that killed millions of people at a time when we didn't have that many people here. It was devastating. War, devastation, great suffering, great loss. But let's look at the world before the war. Before the war, people still had horse and buggies. Electricity was just beginning to be used in the major cities. It was pretty primitive, very much like the Old West. And the war came along and changed everything. It destroyed everything in Europe. We lost so many of our soldiers over there. It was a dark night of the soul. We had the plague that killed so many people. But when it ended, we ended up in the roaring 20s. So I'm suggesting that this time we're in right now is kind of rough, but what's ahead of us is going to be the roaring 20s. I mean, the economy, everything is going to take off. As we let go of the negativity that has created this situation, the anger, the hatred, the aggression, the war, as you watch the very foundations of your life and how you put your reality together be crumbled as you walk upon it. The dark night of the soul is not a fun thing at all, but it's necessary for the development of your soul. Before, you had it structured a certain way, and there were elements within that structure that were not correct. You go through the dark night and you emerge from the other side of it, stronger, more powerful, wiser than you've ever been in your life. That's what happens when you move through the dark night. I personally know of about 5 times in this lifetime I've gone through the dark night of the soul. And it was always wrenching for me. But after the first 2, I started to see the pattern. And so as they happen anymore, even though it's horrible, I'm anticipating an incredible new life, an incredible new way of being. Sometimes the old temple has to be torn down completely. Attachments have to be taken away. Concepts of how things are supposed to be and how they're supposed to work out have to be removed. A disillusionment takes place, a strong disillusionment. Disillusionment is necessary for enlightenment. Just look at the word dis, which means not, and illusion. You have to let go of the illusion of how you've put your world together. And this sometimes, because the higher self is in charge, it can look really awful. It can feel awful. You can feel victimized. You might feel that God or a teacher or maybe somebody else, an ex, I don't know, an ex-wife or husband or somebody or mother-in-law, somebody is making your life miserable that you can blame them for, but it's not that. It's your higher self. It is you. You're growing. You're like, the rattlesnakes in New Mexico. You grow for a while and then you've outgrown your skin. Your exoskeleton is cramming you in. And there comes a time when it gets so bad that you go up and you hook your skin onto a thorn or something, and you crawl out of your old skin and you have a more expansive new one. We all are having to grow out of our skin. And when we grow out of our old skin, we leave the old way we were putting it together behind. Most people right now are starting to emerge or getting ready to emerge from the dark night of the soul. We've had, as a human race, we've had a year of fear and isolation. And all of that is dissolving as I speak. As the consciousness raises, as we start to let go of our aggression, our anger, our fear and terror, as we start to let go of our hatred, we become purified. The dark night of the soul is a horrible, horrible time, and it's a wonderful, amazing time. Just take heart during these times when things are really bad, when people are behaving inappropriately and angrily, when you find yourself being laughed at or taken advantage of, when you feel abandoned. I'm just here to tell you that it's temporary. You're never abandoned. You're always held in the heart. The divine hands of grace hold your soul. And though while your consciousness may drop, the hands of grace will hold your soul up into the light. And as you reconfigure yourself through this dark night of the soul, letting go of attachments and belief systems and things that have held you back, you will discover a new freedom, a new joy, a new awareness, a more expansive view of reality. So as we go through this dark night of the soul together as a human race, I want you to really take heart. Things are going to work out okay. They will. I've been talking about the new age for 6 months now or more, this Aquarian age. I said it wouldn't happen overnight. Changes have to be made. And in order for changes to take place, we have to become aware that we need to make changes. We have to become aware of what we're doing. We have to wake up. And the dark night of the soul wakes you up. Yeah. It's as if you've been in solitary confinement and finally you hear them sticking the key in the door and you know your time is up. It's time you can finally walk out into the sun. The best is yet to come. This is when we really need to forgive each other, to love each other, to take care of each other as much as we can. Life is about balance. It's taking the power that you get from spiritual awakening and using that power selflessly to help others. It's about having clear, clean thinking, just really clear awareness, and combining that clear awareness with the boundless, endless love of the divine, bhakti yoga. As we balance up inside ourselves, moving from the occult and the mysticism of power, of Shakti energy, as we move from Shakti and we enliven our karma yoga, which is selfless giving, which is the opposite, as we combine them together, and as we take the endless, boundless love of bhakti yoga that knows no bounds and mix it with the clear, cool jnana yoga, unemotional jnana yoga, as we pull those two together, as these four yogas come balanced within ourselves, this happens. So, I guess what I'm trying to offer you is hope. Well, you may feel it's hopeless, and where you may feel that everything has fallen apart and you've lost everything. It's going to be okay. The sun is going to rise. It's going to be a new day, a happier day, an amazing day. A new expression on this earth. Well, the hell world is pushed away and we create a new world, a new Garden of Eden, as it were, something beautiful. And it starts within us. It's hard to let go of fear when you're hopeless. It's hard to have hope when you feel there's no one that cares. In the tarot, there's a card called the Devil card. And the Devil card is sitting on half of a cube of stone. It's a half of a cube. The background is black, full of red yods, which are terrible emotional feelings. And this creature, bat-like, awful, demonic-looking creature, is on top of the stone, and he's making a symbol with his fingers. And the symbol says, "This is all there is." And attached to the stone is a man and a woman representing desire and emotion. This is all there is, this darkness, this blackness. But in the Tarot, the cube, a full cube, is complete knowledge. So you have this consciousness that's sitting on half of the knowledge, just half, telling you that's all there is. That's the dark night of the soul. Well, I'm here to tell you there's a lot more than that. The enlightenment process is full of different iterations of how we grow and move, and along the way we drop a lot of past skins. We've outgrown our old way, and now the more we eventually have to be taken away from it, to have the good. It's like, you know, how they used to trap monkeys. I guess they still do. They put the food inside a jar, and the monkey reaches in and grabs the food, and it can't pull the food out, so it doesn't want to let go of the food, and it just hangs there until somebody comes along and grabs the monkey and eats it. Yeah. All the monkey had to do is let go, pull his hand out. The dark night of the soul saying, let go, pull your hand out. You're free. You're not trapped anymore. We're here for just a short time. We experience many, many different realities. We're just passing through on our eternal journey of awakening. So in a moment of darkness, when things seem hopeless and dark, when you feel abandoned and rejected, when there's no hope, I'm here to say there is hope. And I'm not the only one saying it. There are lots of enlightened teachers. They all say pretty much the same thing. Love each other. Take care of this world. Take care of each other. It's not always about you. It's about everything. What are you holding on to? Can you hold on to nothing? So, probably not the happiest subject, but it is a subject of hope. And I'm here to tell you, my friends, that you're not alone, even though you may feel it. You may feel unloved, but that's because of where you're at. You've been in so much pain, and you've been hurt so bad that you closed your heart. And when you close your heart, you can't experience love. Closing your heart is not safe. Opening it up is terribly, horribly dangerous. What do? You find one place where you can open your heart, and you learn how to, until one day you open your heart to all of life. How long will you suffer? It could be the dark night of the soul can be just a few hours. Actually, I've had it for just a few hours at times. I've had the dark night of the soul last for months. But I can tell you, every time I've emerged from it, it's been brighter, more powerful. I've experienced more love and more insight than I could ever do before, because the structures and the things, the desires, the structures, the belief systems that were holding me back had dropped away, and I was exploring new territory. It's absolutely amazing. So take heart, my friend. I know right now, if you're in the middle of the dark night, you want to just say that this whole thing I've been talking about is just a bunch of nonsense. But you'll see, the darkness doesn't last forever. The sun does come up. And when the sun comes up, the things that were black and white and shades of gray start to take color. And you start to see clearly. And that snake that was in your path, as the sun comes up, you realize it's not a snake, it's just a stick. And that ominous rustling in the bushes nearby that you thought was some sort of a demonic creature, it's just a rabbit. Enlightenment is really worth the wait. It's worth everything. Why stay in the hell world of darkness when the sun is here? Meditate, pray. And if you can't meditate and you can't pray because it's so dark, go out and get in nature. Look at the trees, look at the flowers. Look at the stars. Wake up a little early and catch a sunrise. The best of your life is yet to come. We didn't get stuck in World War I and in the plague. We didn't stay there. We went through those terrible, terrible times. And after that, the 20s were so amazing. People were having so much fun. Things were different. It was no longer the old West. It was the new West. It was full of excitement and wonder. And that's what's coming up for you too. Just hang in a little longer. And maybe in the future, if you're not feeling this right now and you do feel the dark night of the soul, remember these words. It's temporary. The best, the most amazing time is just about to happen. And you'll see. You'll see. Let me see, I'm pulling up a piece of music here I want to play. Here. Here we go. This piece of music was written by my teacher and the members of Zazen. And it is about It's called sunrise. It's the end of the dark night of the soul. It starts out, this piece of music starts out in the dark night of the soul. And then it slowly starts to awaken as you start seeing the sun come up. I was in the desert watching the sun come up. It was pretty amazing. So let's listen to this piece of music and go through what begins in the dark night of the soul and ends up in the new day. And have a, oh, by the way, before we do this, next Sunday, I will be having an equinox meditation. We'll begin it at 5, but it may go a little longer because it's going to be more like it's going to be an equinox celebration as much as we can. So invite your friends and come along. It'll be next Sunday at same bat time, same bat station, sunrise. Take a breath. It's going to be a beautiful day. Namaste.